All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, talking about old geezer rock stars who are throwing out conspiracy theories. People think I do it. Anyway, sure, let's all just do conspiracy theories 24/7. Mine are way better than yours, all right? Because mine are based on truth. And this next one by Neil Young is based on just his own weird fear of something that hasn't happened yet. And of course, doing what I do in real time for a handful of people here, just like you and just like me. Thanks for being here. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, Patreon, YouTube memberships, buy me a coffee. I do not have a coffee right now, so this might not be my best work. So, usually I have one right here where I can indulge a little bit while I'm doing a video. But here's the headline, and this is posted to most of the iHeartRadio classic rock stations around the country. Yeah, this is the headline. Neil Young worried he may be barred from the United States for talking about Donald Trump. All right, just let it sink in. So, even the way they worded this, he's just talking about Donald Trump. He's talking. Now, some people have begun to do some crazy things out there to Tesla cars, like blowing them up and stuff, lighting them on fire, keying them. These cars that used to be loved and revered by people like Neil Young, who I believe at one point had an electric car. Poco, by the way, does this great song about Neil Young toward the end of their career. Rusty Young, who was not related to Neil Young, wrote this excellent song. Anyway, Neil Young is worried that he may not be able to tour America as planned due to his feelings about Donald Trump. Now, it almost sounds like he doesn't want to come back to America because of Donald Trump. I think he's over in Sweden, or his first tour date will be in Sweden. He writes on his website, the Neil Young Archives. Nothing says I'm a really old rock star like calling your own website the Neil Young Archives. Why not call it like Musings with Neil or something to that effect? But nope, it's the Neil Young Archives. All right. Anyway, let me get past that. If he chooses to speak out against the president during his upcoming tour, well, it depends on what he says. Is he going to threaten the president of the United States, or is he going to say, "Hey, I don't agree with him, shutting down agencies that have wasted trillions of dollars"? I mean, because that's what these people are fighting for right now. They are fighting for the status quo. That's why, they're going to redistrict up in Wisconsin, and that'll be a perpetual, forever blue state. I mean, these people, they can't win on ideas. They can't win on ideas. When people hear that, we're sending money into oblivion, basically, and there are people that are 300 years old. Well, they weren't actually getting the money, Dave. No, why are there people that are 300 years old on the Social Security roster? And some dude apparently stole like 400,000 Social Security numbers. Yeah, I think we need to get to the bottom of that. And most normal people want to, whether you're on the left or the right. I don't care where you are in the political spectrum. I can't waste that much money and get away with it. Anyway, this gets even crazier as he's worried that he's going to be put in jail. Yeah, Neil Young says, if I talk about Donald J. Trump, I may be one of those returning to America who is barred or put in a jail cell. And then I'll have to sleep on a cement floor with an aluminum blanket. Interesting. There are people, by the way, that walked into the Capitol building. What was it? In 2021. And then that was their life for the next 5 years. Yeah. Cement floor, and all that fun stuff for walking into a building in some cases. I'm not for violence on either side, and the people who did the violence should serve some time, but they shouldn't be put away like a murderer or a rapist. But that's kind of what's happened, or it did happen. Thankfully, it was undone. But you can't get those 5 years of your life back, can you? Or 4 years? It's technically 4 years. Anyway, he says if I come back from Europe and am barred and can't play my U.S. tour, all of the folks who bought tickets will not be able to come to a concert by me. No bleep, Sherlock. But I don't think that's going to happen. Again, this is on a classic rock website, classicrock939.com. So if you want to go there and look at all the hip stories that are always slanted in a particular direction when it comes to politics. Young, who is from Canada and became a U.S. citizen in 2020, questions what it means for freedom if he could be kept out of the country, for freely sharing his feelings about the current administration. Didn't we have this in reverse when people were saying, I don't know if I want to take a certain product. I don't know if I want to actually do what the government is telling me to do, whether that was 3 or 4 years ago. There were a lot of people in rebellion, and, there was a lot of censorship that went on, and it's documented how much censorship actually happened. They don't want you saying or thinking things. Now, if he's over in Sweden and he says something about Donald Trump and it appeals to his audience there, it depends what he says. If he says he wants to blow up certain things or do certain things, yeah, that's not good. All right. Look what's happening to Tesla dealerships right now. Is that good? Is that a peaceful protest? Anyway, he says, I love America and its people and its music and its culture, he writes. By these latest actions of the U.S. government, it seems that those who speak freely... See, this is just nonsense. What's the latest actions of the government? Deporting Venezuelan terrorists? Does that qualify? I don't know what he's talking about here. They're now vulnerable to a non-existent Trump law. It's all about the courts. The courts are doing all kinds of fun things right now that are going to reshape the country. My buddy Audie, he works for, hopefully he's not going to be mad at me for mentioning him, but he is the mastermind behind this great internet radio station. And he's just a smart guy, and he'll say things to me like, this doesn't make any difference what's happening right now. It's all going to revert back. There's so much hopelessness when you look at what certain people want to do to the country. You say you want to cut spending, they come back and call you a Nazi for wanting to cut spending. Anyway, check out Audie over on Modern Retro Radio. He does commentary too, and he's really a smart guy. He understands. I am hopeful that there is a little bit of daylight left, but there may not be, because the reaction to what these guys are trying to do is so over the top and crazy. Like, they just can't understand why people are upset that money went to people that don't even exist. And that we typically, and by the way, Neil Young, a big supporter of the war in Ukraine, loved it every time we sent money to Ukraine, who was a little upset when we were doing the whole Vietnam War thing, which he should have been. That was the correct position on the Vietnam War. But all of these guys have just reverted to the military-industrial complex and to the swarm, which is in Washington. And trying to break this up is not easy. This is entrenched power. And, rather than being kind of like a rebel, and on the other side of this, Neil Young goes along with the status quo. Anyway, if you're interested, Young's Love Earth Tour with his band the Chrome Hearts might kick off June 18th in Ratvik. Oh no, it'll kick off in Sweden. It'll be fine when it starts, but it's supposed to come to the States on August 8th in Charlotte, North Carolina, of all places, right? Wrapping up at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles. How many people are they going to sell out? Is Neil Young going to sell out the Hollywood Bowl? That is really his constituency, though. So we'll see. Maybe he'll be barred and banned and he won't be able to come back from Sweden. I doubt that's going to happen, but if it does, I'll update you folks, and some of you will be like, "Hey, he can stay," or "Neil Young, man, keep on rocking in the free world, buddy." I get that a lot. People say, "Hey Dave, keep on rocking." I think of Neil Young. Go listen to that song by Poco called Neil Young. Look it up. It's hilarious, and it's pretty accurate too. God bless everyone, even Neil Young. Neil, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's TDS. You got a bad case of TDS, and I believe there's probably some pharmaceutical products that would probably help you out.